My name's Sawyer Hayes, and up until that stormy Tuesday in September, my life at Eldridge University was a straight shot down the lane. Wake at dawn, pound the track until my lungs burned, hit the books on kinesiology until my eyes crossed, crash by midnight. Eldridge was the sprawling campus in upstate New York, all ivy-choked brick and endless gray skies that mirrored the grind of Division I track. I was a junior sprinter, the kind of guy who lived for the burn in his quads and the roar of the crowd at regionals. No drama, no distractions, just me, the stopwatch, and the ghost of my dad whispering from the grave that second place was for quitters. But that night, everything veered off course. The stranger, Kingston, as I'd learn later, didn't just barge in. He collapsed against the doorframe, his duffel spilling socks and crumpled flyers across my scuffed linoleum. Water pooled at his sneakers, these beat-up Converse that screamed, "I ran here from somewhere bad." I yanked my shirt over my head, heat flooding my face. Not from embarrassment, exactly, but from the raw vulnerability of being caught mid-change, mid-breath. "Dude, what the fuck?" I stammered, my southern drawl slipping out thicker under stress. I'd grown up in the sticky heat of Atlanta, but Eldridge's chill had me bundled most days. He didn't apologize, just straightened up, those shattered glass eyes locking onto mine, and muttered, "Sorry." Hall desk said this was the RA on duty. Power's out downstairs. Flooded basement or some shit. Needed a dry spot to wait out the storm. His voice was low, edged with something jagged, like he'd swallowed gravel. Up close, he was my height, 6 foot even, but leaner, built like a distance runner, all wiry muscle and sharp angles. A faded band tee clung to his torso, and a silver chain glinted at his throat, catching the light like a secret. I should have kicked him out. Protocol said report strays to campus security, especially at 11 p.m. when the track team van had dumped me back late from a meet in Syracuse. But there was this pull, magnetic and unnameable, in the way he scanned the room. Not prying, but searching, like a guy who'd lost his map. Nah, that's my roommate. I'm just me. I gestured vaguely at the chaos. Protein shakes on the desk, spikes by the bed. A stack of unread emails from Coach about qualifying times. Storm's brutal. You can crash on the futon till it passes. Name's Sawyer. Kingston, he said, dropping the bag with a thud that echoed my pulse. He didn't offer a last name, and I didn't ask. We sat in awkward silence as thunder rattled the windows, the dorm's old radiator hissing like it was alive. He peeled off his soaked jacket, revealing tattoos snaking up his arms. Abstract lines that looked like circuit boards or broken highways. I caught myself staring, then busied my hands with a water bottle, chugging it down to drown the questions bubbling up. Turns out, Kingston was a transfer from some community college down in Philly, starting late because of family stuff. He mumbled it like it tasted bitter, eyes fixed on the floor. The power flickered back on around midnight, bathing us in that sterile yellow glow, and he stood to leave. But at the door he paused, hand on the knob. "Thanks, man, for not calling the cops or whatever." His smile was crooked, tentative, like he wasn't used to it fitting right. "Anytime," I lied, because I knew there wouldn't be. Track swallowed my days whole. Intervals at sunrise, weight sessions at noon, film study till dark. Friendships were pit stops, not destinations. But the next morning, as I laced up for morning practice, there was a note taped to my door. "Coffee's on me if you survive the rain. K." Scribbled below was a campus map marked with the hole-in-the-wall cafe off the quad. I crumpled it, but it burned in my pocket all through warm-ups. Coach barked orders. "Hayes, dig deeper on that curve." And I pushed harder, legs churning mud from the night before. By cool down, though, I was detouring toward the cafe, telling myself it was just caffeine. Kingston was there, nursing a black drip, his hair still tousled like he'd wrestled sleep and lost. "Figured you'd bail," he said, sliding a cup my way. 2 sugars, no cream like he'd guessed right. We talked track first, safe territory. He was a middler too, but cross-country, the endurance junkie to my explosive bursts. "Sprints are suicide." He laughed, that gravel voice warming a notch. "You guys torch out in seconds. US distance fools just suffer slow." I fired back about the mental game, how every race was a war against your own doubt. Hours slipped by, classes forgotten, the quad filling with leaves skittering like escaped thoughts. He had this way of listening, head tilted, eyes crinkling at the corners, that made me spill more than planned. Dad's crash when I was 15. The way track became my anchor, pulling me from the drift. By week's end, Unlikely didn't cover it. Kingston became a fixture. Study sessions in the library where he'd doodle circuits on my notes. He was undeclared, flirting with engineering. Late-night runs where he'd match my pace without breaking a sweat, even crashing pre-meet pep talks with bad jokes that had the team howling. The dorm felt less empty with him around. My roommate, perpetual ghost that he was, barely noticed. But it was the quiet moments that hooked me. The brush of his shoulder during a movie marathon, the shared silence after a tough loss, when he'd just sit, no words needed. Fall deepened, leaves turning Eldridge into a postcard of crimson and gold. Our first real rift came at the Harvest Invitational, a regional meet where the air bit like regret. I'd bombed the 200 false start, DQ'd before the gun even cracked. Fury boiled as I stormed off the track, spikes kicking gravel. The crowd's murmur a dull roar in my ears. Coach's clipboard snapped in his grip. I was his golden boy, the one with Olympic whispers. Back in the dorm, I punched the wall, knuckles splitting, blood smearing the paint like an accusation. Kingston found me like that, curled on the futon, ice pack slipping from my hand. Saw the race, he said softly, kneeling to wrap my hand with his band tee. Steady, like he'd done it 100 times. Not your fault. Wind shifted funny. I wanted to shove him away, scream that he didn't get it, but his touch grounded me, thumb tracing the tape with a gentleness that cracked something open. Our eyes met, and for a beat, the room shrank to just us. The hum of the fridge, the faint scent of his soap, clean and cedar sharp. "You're too good for this shit, Sawyer," he whispered, voice thick. "Too good to let it break you." I leaned in, forehead to his, breath mingling, the line between friends blurring like fog on the track. It wasn't a kiss, not yet, but it was the spark, the ignition. That night we talked till dawn. His fractured home in Philly, a dad who bailed when the bills piled, a mom lost to the bottle, secrets traded like contraband, binding us tighter than any finish line. Winter crept in, blanketing Eldridge in snow that muffled the world. Our rhythm solidified, mornings at the indoor track, where he'd cheer my splits with a thermos of spiked cocoa. Evenings tangled in hoodies, debating everything from Foucault to fantasy football. The team ribbed me about my shadow, but I didn't care. Kingston made the grind bearable, turned isolation into something electric. Yet doubt gnawed. Was this friendship, or the slow burn of more? I dated girls in high school, checked the boxes, but it always fizzled. Awkward fumbles, hearts half in. With him, it was different, real, terrifying. The betrayal seed planted itself in December, during finals week. I was buried in biomechanics, highlighter bleeding across pages, when my phone buzzed. A text from Jamal, my relay anchor. "Yo, your boy's got secrets. Check Insta, Philly PD tag." Heart sinking, I pulled up Kingston's profile, private, but Jamal had screenshotted a public post from last spring. Mugshot thumbnail. Kingston Reyes, 20, arrested for petty theft at a corner store. The caption, "Fresh start means leaving the past buried. Philly strong." I confronted him that night, snow swirling outside like accusations. He was sprawled on my bed, sketching circuits on a napkin, oblivious. "What's this?" I thrust the phone at him, voice steel, his face drained, napkin crumpling in his fist. "Sawyer, it's not." "Not what? You lied. Said it was family stuff." "Theft?" "Jesus, Kingston." The words lashed out, sharper than I meant, born from fear. Fear of the team finding out, coach benching me for bad associations. My scholarship teetering. He stood, chain glinting like a noose. It was one time. Mom's meds, insurance lapsed. I was 17, scared shitless. Expunged record, community service done. I transferred here to outrun it, not hide from you. His eyes pleaded, but betrayal's poison spread. You think I'm some thug now? That changes us. I turned away, the dorm's walls closing in. I don't know what to think. He left without another word, door clicking shut like a guillotine. Days blurred, track sessions mechanical, scores dipping. Sleep fractured by what-ifs. Jamal cornered me post-practice. Cut him loose, Hayes. We got regionals. Can't have dead weight. But Kingston wasn't weight. He was the rhythm I'd lost. Reconciliation came haltingly, over mulled wine at the campus holiday fair. Eggnog spiked with cinnamon, lights twinkling like hesitant stars. I found him by the bonfire, alone, flames carving shadows on his face. I'm sorry, I said, words tumbling, for doubting, for letting fear win. He looked up, guarded, then pulled me into the heat, our shoulders brushing. Me too, for not telling you first. We didn't fix it all that night. Just sat, watching embers die, the silence a bridge we both crossed. Spring thawed the ice, but cracks lingered. Our friendship deepened, laced with unspoken tension. The way his hand lingered on my back during a post-run stretch, the heat in his gaze when I stripped for showers. It was romantic now, inevitable, a slow reel toward collision. Yet the world conspired. Coach amped pressure for nationals. My grades slipped under the strain, and whispers about Kingston's past circled like vultures. Still, we carved out stolen moments. A hike in the Adirondacks, where he traced my palm under pine boughs, laughing about nothing. A midnight drive to Saratoga, windows down, his playlist of indie rock weaving through the dark. The climax brewed in April, rain lashing eldritch like Judgment Day. Regionals loomed, my 4x100 anchor leg the make or break. But Kingston vanished midweek. No texts, no runs, dorm empty. Panic clawed me. I'd seen that look in his eyes before, the one that said flight over fight. I tracked him to the old track behind the AG building, abandoned since budget cuts, where puddles mirrored storm clouds. He was there, pounding laps in the downpour, form flawless but furious, like he was outrunning demons. Kingston! I yelled over the gale, sprinting the fence line. He slowed, chest heaving, water streaming down his face like tears. What the hell? You ghosted. He gripped the rail, knuckles white. Saw the team chat. Jamal posted the mugshot. Know who you're running with? They're coming for you, Sawyer. Because of me. Rage and heartbreak surged. I vaulted the fence, boots splashing, closing the gap. Screw them. Screw the team. You're not a liability. You're the only thing keeping me sane. Thunder cracked, and he whirled, eyes wild. You don't get it. I care too much. This, us. It's everything, and I'm poison. The words hung, heavy with the unsaid. Love, the word we danced around. I grabbed his collar, pulling him close, rain blurring our edges. Then fight for it. With me. Our breaths mingled, lips inches apart. The world narrowing to this drenched, desperate moment. He surged forward, forehead crashing to mine, a sob escaping. I can't lose you. It wasn't a kiss, but the dam broke. Confessions spilling in the storm. His fear of abandonment, my terror of vulnerability, the raw ache of wanting him wholly. We stumbled back to the dorm, soaked and shivering, collapsing onto the futon in a tangle of limbs and whispers. No fire, just the quiet unraveling of guards. I love you, he murmured into my neck, voice breaking. Have for months. I held him tighter, the admission a lifeline. Me too. God, Kingston, me too. Summer hit Eldridge like a fever dream. Campus emptying out, the track a ghost town under relentless sun. Most of the team scattered. Jamal to Florida for club meets, others to internships or beach towns. Me? I stayed, subletting a beat-up apartment off-campus with Kingston, our first real taste of freedom beyond dorm walls. The place was a shoebox in a sagging Victorian, peeling wallpaper and a fire escape that groaned like an old man. But it was ours. We stocked the fridge with cheap beer and Gatorade, turned the living room into a war zone of textbooks and takeout boxes, and for the first time, track felt secondary to the gravity of us. Mornings started slow. Coffee brewing on the hot plate, Kingston sketching at the wobbly table while I stretched on the threadbare rug. He'd glance up, that crooked smile flashing, and I'd forget the pull-ups waiting at the gym. "You're staring," he'd tease, tossing a balled-up napkin my way. "Habit?" I'd shoot back, catching it mid-air. Our touches evolved, fingers interlacing during walks to the farmer's market. His head on my shoulder during Netflix binges. The casual intimacy of shared showers after runs, steam fogging the mirror as we laughed about nothing. But romance in the American heartland wasn't all sun-dappled ease. Eldridge's small-town underbelly simmered. The diner where locals eyed us too long. The church flyers decrying campus sin, tacked to every pole. Kingston tensed at the glares, his Philly edge sharpening. "They don't know us," I'd say, squeezing his hand under the table. But doubt crept in like humidity. Texts from coach about fall camp. Warnings to keep your head straight. Haze. Distractions kill times. Was I distracted? Hell yes. But it was the good kind. The fuel that had me PRing in practice sprints. Legs flying like they finally knew joy. We road-tripped that July, borrowing my ancient Civic for a zigzag through the Finger Lakes. Stops at wineries where we'd sneak sips of Riesling. Picnics on shale beaches with the lake lapping like secrets. One night, under a meteor shower near Ithaca, we lay on a quilt, backs to the damp grass, his hand tracing constellations on my arm. "Remember that first night?" he murmured, voice soft against the cricket chorus. "Thought you were some jock asshole. Changing like the room was your kingdom." I chuckled, turning to face him, our noses brushing. "And you were the drowned rat who upended it all." The air hummed, charged, and I kissed him then, properly, for the first time. Slow, exploratory, tasting of lake wind and unspoken promises. His lips were warm, hesitant at first, then urgent, fingers threading my hair as stars streaked overhead. It wasn't fireworks. It was gravity, pulling us into orbit. We broke apart breathless, foreheads pressed, the world vast and small all at once. Back in Eldridge, reality reasserted. Fall semester loomed, and with it the team's return. Jamal's welcome back barbecue was a minefield. Kegs on the frat house lawn, bass thumping from speakers, bodies slick with sweat and bravado. I brought Kingston, arms slung casual around his shoulders, but the vibe shifted when we walked in. Whispers cut through the laughter, eyes darting, then away. Jamal clapped my back too hard, beer sloshing. "Hayes, where's the fire? And who's the plus one?" His grin was plastic, the mugshot ghost in his gaze. "Kingston Reyes," he said evenly, extending a hand Jamal ignored. The night frayed. Toasts to last season's highs, sideline jabs about off-track drama. I pulled Kingston aside during cornhole, frustration boiling. "Ignore them. They're idiots." But his jaw clenched, that old fracture line. "It's not them, Sawyer. It's you." Smiling through the bullshit for my sake. "I won't be your anchor dragging you under." We left early. The drive home silent save for the AC's whine. In the apartment, tension crackled. "Talk to me," I pleaded, cornering him by the sink. He whirled, eyes stormy. "Nationals, Sawyer. Your shot at something bigger. I won't be the reason it slips." Betrayals echo, his past now weaponized against us. "This isn't about that. It's us." But he shook his head, stepping back. "Us works till it doesn't. And when coach benches you, when the scouts ghost, don't say I didn't warn you." The fight simmered for days. Polite notes on the fridge, runs solo at dawn. I threw myself into training, intervals blurring into punishment, coach nodding approval at my splits. "Whatever's fueling you, bottle it." If only he knew, heartbreak as jet fuel. Kingston buried in job hunts, undeclared major crystallizing into computer science apps. His sketches turning abstract, jagged. Re-entry came mid-September, at the Eldridge home opener. The stadium thrummed. Alumni in bleachers, banners snapping in the breeze, the sharp tang of fresh-cut grass. I anchored the 4x100, baton slapping into my palm like fate. The handoff from Jamal was clean, but as I exploded off the block, I spotted him in the stands. Kingston, chain glinting, clapping with forced cheer, propelled me. Legs pistoning, crowd a roar, tape breaking at 39.2, a season best. Post-race, medals heavy around necks, I found him by the water coolers. Saw that. I grinned, sweat-streaked. Couldn't miss it. His hug was fierce, body fitting mine like puzzle edges. Proud of you. The team milled nearby, Jamal's eyes narrowing. But for that moment, it was just us, victory sweet, rift mending. Yet the undercurrents pulled stronger. October brought the conference prelims in Boston. A whirlwind of hotel vans and hotel lobbies smelling of chlorine and regret. We snuck away one night, wandering Beacon Hill's gaslit streets, leaves crunching underfoot. At a dive bar off Charles Street, over whiskeys that burned like truth serum, he confessed deeper scars. The arrest not just desperation, but a plea for attention in a home unraveling. Dad split, Mom spiraled. I thought stealing meds would force her to see me. Stupid kid shit. His voice cracked, and I cupped his face, thumbs brushing stubble. You're not that kid anymore. You're the guy who sees me, really sees. We kissed again, deeper this time, against the alley wall, city hum fading. It was romantic, raw, the kind of moment that etches into bone. Back at the hotel, shared room a stolen luxury, we talked till the skyline pinked, dreams of postgrad life, me coaching at AD2 school, him coding for some startup in Austin or Seattle. Together, I asked, hand over his heart. Wherever, he promised, sealing it with a kiss to my temple. November's chill sharpened the edges. Eldridge buzzed with Thanksgiving prep, but our families loomed like storm fronts. Mine, Mom in Atlanta, video calls laced with, "When you bringing a nice girl home?" Code for her unresolved grief over Dad, funneled into my straight-laced future. His radio silence from Philly, a sister texting sporadically about Mom's latest relapse. We cooked our first turkey that year, apartment oven smoking like a crime scene, laughter cutting the awkward. To unlikely messes. He toasted with boxed wine, glasses clinking. But betrayal's second strike landed via email. Coach's memo, team integrity review. Anonymous tip, Jamal's fingerprints all over. Flagging associations risking eligibility. My stomach dropped. NCAA rules on conduct were ironclad, and Kingston's record, expunged or not, was ammo. I stormed practice, confronting Jamal by the hurdles. "This you're doing?" He shrugged, smug. "Just looking out for the team, Hayes. You blind to the baggage?" Fury blinded me, fists clenched, vision tunneling. A shove, a scuffle, refs pulling us apart. Coach suspended me for the weekend dual meet, cool-off period. Kingston waited in the stands, face ashen. "I told you," he said later, pacing our kitchen. "I'm the curse." No, Jamal was, his jealousy over my form, my distraction, thriving where his stagnated. But the damage stuck. Scouts whispering, Mom's worried calls, the fracture widening. We patched with a weekend escape to Niagara Falls. Mist-shrouded barrels thundering, rainbows arcing in spray. Hotel room overlooking the gorge, we stripped the fight bare. "I choose you," I vowed, tracing his tattoos like maps. Every time, he pulled me close, lips on mine, the kiss a reclamation. Tender, fierce, laced with the salt of unshed tears. That night, wrapped in thread count sheets, we made plans. Transfer petitions if needed, dual enrollment, anything to outrun the tide. December thawed the immediate freeze, suspension lifted, times rebounding. Christmas break split us. Me to Atlanta's humid embrace, him to Philly's grit. Texts flew like lifelines. "Miss your laugh. Survive the Inquisition." His mom's dry sorta. Counting days till New York. Reunion at Penn Station was electric. Him in a wool peacoat, me barreling through crowds, our hugs swallowing the chaos. New Year's Eve on the dorm roof, illegal fireworks popping over the quad. His hand in mine as midnight chimed. "To us?" we whispered, sealing it with a kiss under falling sparks. Winter track ramped up, indoor seasons a pressure cooker of ovals and echoes. Kingston thrived in CS electives, hacking problem sets like sprints, while I chased sub-2200s. Romance wove through Valentine's notes in lockers, surprise picnics in snow-dusted parks. Yet the humanistic core emerged in the small salvations. Him tutoring a freshman struggling with grief, me volunteering at the campus LGBTQ center, sharing our story in hushed groups. Eldridge's pulse quickened toward spring, but shadows lengthened. Jamal's sidelong glares, coaches' pointed focused talks, the inexorable pull of graduation timelines. The true storm broke in March, winds howling off Lake Ontario like banshees. Nationals qualifiers in Gainesville, Florida, heat a slap after winter's bite. The team flew down, tension thick as humidity. I roomed with Kingston, a calculated risk, but Jamal's crew roomed adjacent, walls thin as paper. Race day dawned brutal. Semis at noon, finals dusk. I qualified easy, but post-race elation soured. Jamal cornered Kingston by the hospitality tent. Stay away from my anchor, Reyes, or that pic goes viral. Full team leak. I overheard from the bleachers, blood roaring. Stormed over, inserting between them. Back off, Jamal. This ends now. He laughed, bitter. Ends? You're throwing your shot for a felon's pity fuck. The slur landed like a baton drop. Ugly, exposed. Kingston paled, but I swung. Not fists, words. He's more man than you'll ever be. Jealous 'cause your time's flatline while mine soar? With him. Chaos erupted. Coaches intervening, security buzzing. Jamal shoved. I held ground. Kingston pulling me back as rain. Tropical sheets. Unleashed. We retreated to the track house. Drenched, hearts pounding. You defended me, he said, awe in his voice, toweling my hair. Publicly. I cupped his face, rain dripping from lashes. Always. The kiss was salt and storm, bodies aligning in the dim rec room. A promise amid ruin. The fallout from Gainesville rippled like aftershocks. NCAA compliance grilled us. Jamal's leak attempt flagged as harassment. His suspension a hollow victory. Coach pulled me aside post-flight. Hayes, talent's one thing. Judgment's the legacy. His eyes softened, though fatherly, almost. But I see it. The fire. Don't let 'em dim it. I nodded, throat tight, the weight of representation settling. Back at Eldridge, spring bloomed defiant. Dogwoods unfurling pink against slate skies. The quad alive with frisbees and first hands. Kingston and I navigated the wreckage with grit. Counseling sessions at the center, where we unpacked the betrayal's layers. Jamal's insecurity masking his own closet struggles. A teammate later confiding he'd suspected the same pull. Humanized the villain, turned hate into a mirror. Our bond fortified. Runs turning meditative, his hand steadying mine at turns. Nights coding side by side, my head on his thigh as he debugged. Romance deepened into ritual. A weekly date at the drive-in on Route 20. Buttered popcorn and his fingers tracing my knee. The screen's glow painting us silver. Yet conflict simmered domestic now. My scholarship renewal hinged on GPA and conduct. His transfer credits lagged, threatening overload. Mom visited in April. A whirlwind of magnolia perfume and probing questions. Over brunch at the cafe. Kingston charming her with circuit stories. She cornered me in the bathroom. He's special, Sawyer. But Atlanta's calling, job offers. Family. You can't outrun roots forever. Her eyes, Dad's eyes, pleaded normalcy. I hugged her tight, unspoken. This is my route now. Kingston's crisis crested midterms. A call from Philly. Mom hospitalized, liver failing, his sister begging him home. He paced the apartment, chain twisted like worry. I can't afford the flight. Or the time exams, your qualifiers. I dipped into savings, booking the ticket before he could protest. Go. I'll hold the fort. At the airport, his kiss was fierce, tasting of fear. Be back before you know it. But days stretched, texts sparse, then silent. Panic gnawed. I aced a biomech presentation on autopilot, track splits erratic. He returned haggard, 10 pounds lighter, eyes hollow. Over takeout foe, steaming, spicy solace, he unraveled. Mom's refusal of rehab, sister's ultimatum to man up or lose us. The theft's ghost resurrected, accusations flying. She called me selfish. For leaving. For you. His voice broke, chopsticks clattering. I pulled him across the table, holding through sobs. You're not selfish. You're surviving. That night, curled on the futon, he whispered dreams deferred. Dropping CS for nursing, helping her heal. Human stuff, you know? Not circuits, people. I supported, but resentment flickered. My nationals prep sidelined for his chaos. Mom's letters piling unanswered. The humanistic pull one. We volunteered at a hospice run. His hand in mine as we read to patients, faces etched with stories like ours. It reframed pain, not burden, but bridge. May's qualifiers arrived, a crucible in Columbus, Ohio. The stadium sprawled under floodlights, air thick with chalk dust and ambition. I towed the blocks for the 200 semis, Kingston in the stands, chain a talisman glinting. Gun cracked. I exploded, curve a blur, lungs screaming glory. Touched the line at 19.87. Personal best. Finals berth. The roar swallowed me. I scanned for him, our eyes locking, his whoop piercing the din. Finals night, adrenaline a drug, I anchored the relay, baton smooth, legs devouring track. We crossed first, tape snapping, metals cold against fevered skin. Podium haze, anthems swelling, flashes popping. Kingston crashed the afterparty at a Buckeye dive. Team loosening under victory's glow. Jamal absent, transferred out, rumor had it, and the air lighter. We danced, sloppy and free. His body swaying mine to Springsteen covers. Whispers lost in twang. But climax shadowed triumph. Post-meet banquet, scouts swarmed, Nike reps, Olympic whispers. One pulled me aside. Hayes, you're gold. But that Philly kid? Day deeper. Past could tank endorsements. The words chilled, betrayal's hydra rearing. I confronted Kingston at dawn. Hotel balcony overlooking the Scioto. River murmuring below. They know. About the arrest. Said it'll haunt me. He leaned on the rail, face crumpling. I told you, poison. Storm clouds gathered. Wind whipping. No. It's them. Their fear. But doubt poisoned me now. Visions of contracts evaporating. Mom's disappointment. What if they're right? What if loving you costs everything? He recoiled, eyes shattering anew. Then walk. I won't chain you. Silence stretched, thunder rumbling distant. I reached, but he stepped back. Rain starting, fat drops veiling us. Kingston, wait! He bolted, down the fire stairs, vanishing into the gray. Desperation propelled me. Rented a car, chasing taillights through Ohio backroads. Found him at a rest stop diner, hunched over coffee, duffel at feet. Running again? I slid into the booth, voice raw. He looked up, defeated. Always do. Easier than losing. I grabbed his hands across Formica, sticky with syrup ghosts. Not losing me, but we fight this together. Lawyers for the record, PR for the noise. Or we quit it all, start fresh in Austin. Tears mixed with rain on his cheeks. You'd do that? For me. For us. The kiss was deluge, messy, urgent, diner patrons averting eyes. It was the peak, the gay-capping gay, emotion cresting like the storm outside. We drove back laughing through sniffles, plans scribbling on napkins. Dual applications to UT, track coaching gigs, his coding freelance bridging gaps. Summer redux but evolved, apartment swaps for a sublet cabin in the Catskills, wood smoke and wild swims. We hiked Cotterskill Falls, mist veiling kisses. Canoed lazy rivers, his laugh echoing off bluffs. Romance romanticized. Sunsets with cheap Merlot. Stargazing where he'd name bears after my bad puns. Yet depth humanized. Letters to mom, outing us gentle. Calls to his sister, mending frayed threads. You're my family now, he said one dusk, fireflies winking. But they get to be too. Fall semester dawned golden, senior year, my last at Eldridge. Coach promoted me captain, a nod to resilience. Kingston declared CS, internships buzzing. The team reformed, Jamal's void a lesson in loyalty. New relay kids, eager and open. We hosted barbecues, his grilled peppers the hit, conversations veering vulnerable. Coming out tales, ally pledges. But life's drama doesn't bow out tidy. November brought Philly again. Mom's final spiral, overdose hushed in ER lights. Kingston flew solo, me pacing airports in spirit. He returned shattered but not broken, holding a locket of hers, chain doubled now. Funeral was stark. Baptist chapel in Germantown, rain pattering stained glass. I stood beside him, hand hidden in pocket, squeezing through eulogies. She loved you, I whispered post-graveside, mud clinging shoes. In her way. He nodded, leaning into me. Enough to let me go. Grief's wake was quiet fury, runs turning therapeutic, his sketches blooming with memorials. Circuits as lifelines, highways to healing. We leaned humanistic. Donations to recovery centers, his nursing pivot shelved but spirit alive in peer support groups. Romance anchored. Thanksgiving hours, turkey charred but turkey, toasts to ghosts and graces. Winter gripped, but we thought it. Ice skating on the pond, falls into snowbanks dissolving in laughter. Holiday lights strung in our nook, his gift a custom chain link, mine a leather journal for his codes. New Year's on the roof again, but intimate. Just us, champagne flutes clinking, resolutions whispered. To betrayals survived, he said, and love that endures. Nationals loomed, my swan song, Eugene, Oregon, Hayward Field's hallowed dirt. The flight west was charged. Playlists of triumphs, his hand my talisman. Qualifiers flew. Finals a meditation, block steady. Gun a starting block to forever. I ran for Dad's ghost, Mom's pride, but mostly for him. Eyes finding his in the stands, chain flashing like beacon. 19.45, fourth overall All-American stamp. Podium tears. Medal heavy, joy heavier. Post-race, trackside embrace. His "you did it" muffled in my jersey. The kiss, chaste, but there, under stadium lights and scattered applause. Scouts approached cautious, but one, a grizzled agent, clapped my back. Kid, that fire? It's marketable. Past be damned. Stories in the heart. Vindication, humanistic arc. Not erasure, but embrace. Graduation weekend unfurled in May's full glory. Eldridge caps tumbling like black confetti. Families flooding the quad in sundresses and slacks. I walked with kinesiology honors, diploma crisp. Kingston, CS cum laude, beaming beside. Mom met him proper. Hug fierce. Take care of my boy. His sister flew up. Tentative bridge mending over diner pie. The ceremony blurred. Speeches on futures forged, but mine was etched beside him, chain links entwined. Post-commencement, the world beckoned. I landed an assistant coaching gig at AD2 in Colorado Boulder, mountains jagged as hope. Kingston scored remote dev work, freelance algorithms for green tech startups, flexible for our nomadic start. We packed the Civic roof rack high. Duffels, spikes, his sketch pads. Apartment goodbye, a ritual burn of old notes, ashes to wind. The drive west was epic American. Detours through Badlands, motels with neon buzz, diner dawns over prairies. Stops at Rushmore, his finger tracing Lincoln's frown. Leaders with baggage, relatable. In Wyoming, hot springs soak under stars, bodies buoyant, whispers of forever. Austin detour? He mused, bubbles popping. Or straight Boulder? We chose meander, life's not linear. Boulder welcomed rugged. Flatirons looming. Campus a hive of buff undergrads and PhD grinders. My role. Drills at Folsom Field. Mentoring middles with Dad's echoes. Seconds for quitters. Kingston nested our rental. A craftsman bungalow off Pearl Street. Porch swing creaking evenings. He coded poolside at breweries, algorithms blooming. I coached dawn runs, lungs filling with pine. Romance rooted domestic. Farmers market halls turned salads, his hand chopping beside mine. Trail runs where he'd pace my cool down. Views of El Dorado Canyon framing us. Conflicts arose mundane. My late practices clashing his deadlines. Mom's visits stirring settle-down talks, but betrayal's scar taught grace. Arguments aired over IPAs, makeup slow-danced in the kitchen to Coulter Wall. Summer's heat peaked with a crisis. His freelance client ghosting, invoices unpaid, our buffer thinning. Panic echoed Philly nights. What if I'm the dead weight now? I shut it down, pulling him to the reservoir. Kayaks slicing blue, sun dappling. We're the weight. Together. He traced my palm. Tattoos sun-faded. Human, huh? Not circuits. We pivoted, him pitching recovery apps to clinics, tying code to care. Me guest lecturing on resilience, weaving our story sans salacious. Fall foliage turned Boulder ablaze. Our first anniversary marked by a hot air balloon lift. Gondolas swaying over mesas, champagne chilled. At apex, wind whispering, he knelt. Not proposal, but vow. Wherever the track leads, I'm your shadow. Kiss sealed it, earth below a distant dream. Yet drama's thread persisted. Winter brought news. Eldridge scandal. Jamal's leak traced. Settlement whispers. His apology email terse. Grew up. Sorry for the damage. Kingston deleted it unread. I replied grace. Water under. Run your race. Humanistic closure, no revenge. Just release. Spring thawed deeper layers. Mom remarried. A quiet widower from church. Atlanta garden weddings our escape. She pulled me aside post-vows. Proud of your path, Sawyer. Unconventional, but yours. Tears pricked. Roots redefined. Our pinnacle crested in June. Olympics trials looming. My coaching cred opening doors. A wild card entry for vets. Sacramento's track scorched. Stands electric. Kingston flew in, sister 2. Chains doubled as luck. Semis. Solid but finals, blocks bit hard. Legs coiling like springs. Gun, explosion, curve conquered. Line at 19.78. Olympic standard. The world tilted. Hugs from strangers. Flashes blinding. His face through the melee. Pride pure. Podium wasn't mine. Fourth again. But the door cracked. Paris relay alternate. Press hounded. The comeback kid. With the past? I owned it. Mic in hand. Past's prologue. It's the people beside you that write the now. Kingston backstage. Kiss quick but seismic. Post-trials, we retreated to the Sierras, cabin perch, pines whispering. Nights by fire, his head my lap, sketches of circuits as constellations. What's next? He murmured. Paris if it calls. Or here, building. We chose both, relay training balanced with home, his app launching, recovery loop, algorithms aiding sobriety, mom's legacy coded in. Years blurred forward, humanistic tapestry weaving. Paris 2024. Alternates bench, but baton passed in spirit, gold for the anchors. Boulder rooted us, bungalow expansions, a dog named Bolt, his sister's visits turning annual. I coached nationals, he consulted for NGOs, our story guest spots at centers, unlikely friendships to unbreakable loves, betrayals faded scars, conflicts, lessons in lean, romance endured, anniversary balloons, trail proposals unspoken in glances. The ending? No tidy bow. Life's a relay, handoffs eternal. But in our porch swing creaks, chain glints catching dusk. It's humanistic triumph. Two strangers, one dorm door, forging a finish line of their own. One evening, years on, sunset gilding the flatirons, he turns from the grill, apron askew. Remember that rainy night? I nod, pulling him close. Best crash ever. Laughter mingles with breeze. The unlikely friendship, love, eternal lap.